So it says is K assembled on line 5? Yet we have K on 5. Which of the following is a pair of models that could be assembled, not necessarily in the order given? So what does not necessarily in the order given mean?
I don't know.
So what is the order given in A?
The G and H are together?
G and H, yeah. So if it's a pair and it's not necessarily in that order, what is the only other order that A could go in?
H and G?
Yeah, exactly. So that's just a really weird way of saying these two are next to each other, but not necessarily in that order. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we're saying is all of these now are becoming married, right?
That.
Like every single, whether it's GH or HG, all of these are right next to each other. So they're saying if K is, so if 5 is K, can G and H be right next to each other in either one of our scenarios?
Yes, that's true.
So in world 1, where do we have to put G?
G has to be on a lower number line than
Right,
M.
but based on answer choice A, what are we testing here? Where do we have to put G in order in world number 1? Where do we have to put G?
We have to put G in number 2.
Excellent. And then what do we know about G based on our world, our main?
That M and G go together.
Yes. So does 1 work for H and G?
No.
No. So now we have to try our second world just to make sure. So where do we have?
It doesn't work because M has to be on a lower line than G.
Right next to it, right? Like M would have to be here. So we know that it's not A. All right, what about B? Let's skip B for a second and go to an easier one. Let's try C again. Let's try C. What do you have to do to try this?
Okay, so C would have to go in spot 2 and spot 6.
All right, so does it work in 1? What do we know about J?
The F has to come before that.
Yeah, so does 1 work?
No.
Nope. All right. So now let's go to 2. What do we know that F has to come before J, right?
Right.
All right, so we know that F has to be one of these. What other letters do we have to make sure that they can fit?
Can you repeat it one more time?
So we have F. What other 2 letters do we have to try to make fit here?
M and G?
Yeah. So could we make M and G and F all fit here and it work?
No.
No?
Because M and G has to be together.
But couldn't that work?
Oh, yes, it could work. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually like C as an answer, but let's try the other one so you can keep seeing like what it looks like when it doesn't work. All right, let's try D. So I'm going to tell you what I look for when I do this one, and then you're going to do E. So whenever D tells me J and M, I go to world 1 and I'm like, okay, I know if it's J and M, whatever order it's in, I know it has to be this order because M and G have to be next to each other. So in world one, there's nowhere that can fit 3 people. So I'm like, okay, so this one doesn't work in world one. Now I'm gonna go try 2, where I know that if I have J and M next to each other, well, I know G has to go next to M, so it would have to be in this order again. Could I put this anywhere? Well, I would have to try to force it here. So I'm going to see if it works. But my issue is I see J, I'm like, okay, what else has to be true of J? Well, F has to go before it. So that won't work. So I know that this answer is wrong.
Okay.
That's my thought process or how I go around about attacking those. So you go ahead and try E. Tell me what you would do.
So I would put so I would put it just doesn't seem as if it will work.
Why? Yeah, you're right. Why?
It just wouldn't work because M and G has to go together, and then it will
And
make
where
S.
to make E work, like where are they saying M needs to go?
M needs to go first, or M needs to go second.
No,
M
no,
needs to go.
yeah, but sorry, let me re-ask the question. In E, for E to work, where are they saying M has to go? Like, where do they want us to see if M can go?
They want us to see if M can go third.
Yes, there we go. And that doesn't work, right? Because M has to be next to G.
Right.
Excellent. That's why that answer is wrong. All right, let's go back up and see if you can handle B now, the hard one.
Hey, Miss Leela, how are you? Good.
Tell me what you're thinking.
It just can't work, but I don't
Why?
think it could work. Because they're saying that G and J has to be next to each other.
So what else do we know here? If it's G and J, what else needs to be true?
I'll come to your desk because I'm in a tutoring session right now. Okay, so G and J. So okay, so F is on a lower number than whatever J. So
what do we know about?
So
what do we know about G?
That M and G has to go together.
Yes. And so in world one, can M, G, and J all go anywhere?
No.
No. And then in world two, we're going to try to put it here. But why does that not work?
Where's F going to go?
Exactly. There's no spot for F.
So C would have to work.
Yes.
What question type is the 19?
New rule. I would say this is a harder new rule question because it has like this funny wording in it. But the if something else is just giving us a new rule to try out. All right, so I'm going to get us back to where we were. 20, let's see what. And then I would skip. I like to do the if questions first. So I just saw this. So
Why is that?
because I think the new world questions are easier. This was a hard new world question, but so I'm going to show you one. This next one here that I would do is 21. And it starts with the word if. I think these are easier than what we call the world questions or the global questions that start with like which or what. And it's not, I shouldn't say that. It's not necessarily that they're easier, but these questions help make the other questions easier because they make us play with the rules and get more familiar with them. So whenever a question says what can't be true, we're more likely to have an instinct of what that might be because we've already done some questions about it.
Okay.
So I would skip 20 and 21 and let's look at 21 or sorry, 19 and, or I would skip 18 and 19 and go to 21. And how would you go about trying to solve 21?
If K is on line 2, which of the following must be true? I would have to put K on line 2.
Yes, so we're going to put K on line 2. And then when we do that, can we determine anything else in either one of those scenarios? We really just have 2 rules that we have to pay attention to. Let's start with number 2. Do we know where anybody else has to go in number 2?
So maybe M and G has to go 5th and 6th.
Excellent. And then we actually can determine where the other ones go to them.
F and J is 1 and 2.
Perfect. Is that me?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't know where that's coming from. What the heck? I'm so sorry. All right, hopefully that. Oh, I'm sorry. I was sitting on my phone and I thought
No,
it was
you're
my laptop. And I was like, what the heck? No, it's just my chubby legs. Okay. All right. So in world number 1, now let's try to use some process of elimination here. We have 4 letters and where do they have to go?
We have 4 letters. M and G has to go 6 or 7, and F and J has to go 3 and 5.
One of those is right. So let's look at this. We have M and where can M and G not go? M and G can't.
M and G
right?
cannot go 7.
Yeah, but could M go here and G go here? Potentially, right? Or it could go like this. Do you agree?
It could go like what? Like 6 and 7?
Yeah, it can go. You might have said this. M and G can go 5th and 6th, or it can go 6th and 7th. We're not sure which one, right?
Oh, right.
But we know that this 6 is going to be taken by one of them. However, we know what letter goes in 3. I guess what I'm trying to get at. We do know for certain who goes in 3. because we know it can't be M, it can't be G, and who else can't it be?
It can't be M, it can't be G, and it can't be MG, and it can't be maybe F.
Okay, what letters are left? F and who?
J.
J. Who has to go in third then? F or J?
F.
Yes. So do you see that?
Uh-huh.
So while we don't know specifically where M and G go, we do know that it's going to be M and G next to each other, and then the other one's just going to be J. All right, so we have our two scenarios. So now what must be true? So I'll start with A so you can hear my thought process. And it says F is assembled on a lower line than S. Dang it, I think this is the answer. But because here, does that have to be true? Well, in scenario 1, we have M lower than S. And in scenario 2, we have F lower than S. So I like that one. But let's look at what happens when one is wrong. So B says H is assembled on a lower number than G. So that's true in world 1, like no matter where G goes. Oh, did I just erase all that? I think I just don't have this in here. That's true in world 1. But if we look at world 2, H is not lower than G, right? Right here, G is actually lower than H. So I would cross B off. How would you go about handling C?
It's not true. It's true in the second scenario, but not the first.
Excellent. D?
It's not true.
Yeah, it doesn't have to happen, right?
Right.
Okay. What about E? Sorry. What about E?
It's not true.
Yeah, in which one?
In scenario number 1.
No, it is true in area number 1.
F is assembled on a lower number than J. What's not
In number 1, that's true. Which one is that not true in?
Oh, in number 2.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. All right, so now let's look at 22.
So the answer was
A.
A.
I happened to do the first one that was right. Like in both scenarios, it had to happen. All right, how would you go about solving this one? I want you to solve this one on your own. Do it all the way through. I'm not going to say anything.
What number is this one?
It's 22.